She was an it girl in the Golden State.
She had a certain spunk, a certain it factor, and everybody wanted to be with her or around her. The men loved her. I mean, loved her.
Even though she clearly had a lot of admirers, she was really trying to do it by herself and be really independent.
But when blood-curdling screams ring out, she's at risk of losing it all.
Mika!
He frantically started banging on her door, calling her name. We were panicked. We thought maybe there had been a kidnapping as well.
As detectives investigate, they unravel a story of obsession and betrayal.
He had a crush on her. He was infatuated with her.
Maybe he could not deal with the rejection and finally snapped.
She breaks down and admits, yes, it upset me that my husband went out with this woman.
She told him that tonight she was going to die.
Will the killer evade justice?
Weeks turned into months, and months turned into years.
We were not getting any answers, trying to figure out what had happened.
Or was the real culprit hiding in plain sight?
When he said that to me, the hair on my neck stood up.
The text comes back positive for deception.
I felt like at that moment that I could have been looking at a killer.
January 1999. It's the start of a new year in Richmond, California.
Richmond is an inner city that is located approximately 30 minutes from San Francisco and 20 minutes from Oakland.
Richmond was a working class city with individuals that were trying to make a way for themselves and their families.
The majority of the population of Richmond were good families, good people.
But the Richmond community is also struggling with a growing crime problem.
In the 1990s, for a city that was relatively small, it was plagued by crime.
It was still suffering from the crack epidemic.
It was not uncommon to have multiple homicides on any given day.
On the morning of January 9th, one local resident, Andrew Piper, is still asleep after a relatively quiet night, until he's jolted awake by the sound of screaming.
He was sleeping on his couch, and he was awakened by blood-curdling screams from his neighbor's apartment across a shared driveway.
He knows that a young mother named Mika Wadley lives there with her 18-month-old baby.
He's afraid for their safety, so he quickly ran over there to check on them and see what's going on.
He frantically started banging on Mika's door, calling her name.
Mika!
The neighbor attempts to open the door, but it's locked.
He's continuing to hear the screams for about 30 more seconds, and then it goes silent inside.
Mika, can you hear me? Hello?
He knew that Mika was in trouble, so he returns to his own apartment. He retrieves his phone and makes the call to 911.
I'm really concerned about my neighbor.
26-year-old Mika Wadley was beautiful inside and out.
She was real sweet, kind-hearted, easy to get along with. She was very lovable. She made you smile. She made you feel good about yourself.
She was so outgoing. She had so many friends. It was just her personality. She had a very nice personality. She got along with everybody.
She just loved being around people. She was a very people person.
But in addition to her outgoing personality, Mika also had a fiery side.
She was a little feisty. People just didn't play with her. If they did challenge her, she would be up for the challenge.
Nobody messed with her. She could back her stuff up very good.
I think you should bet more than that.
You want me to bet more?
More than that.
Mika had a certain spunk, a certain it factor, and everybody wanted to be with her or around her. The men loved her. I mean, loved her. They were just attracted to her. Her personality, her funness. She was known for putting guys in the friend zone. She knew her value and she knew her worth.
Hey, who's hungry? You! There we
go. Thank God. I'm starving.
But when she met 22-year-old Pete Smith, he seemed like someone who was worth her time.
They were hanging out. She really, really liked him.
He had this big personality just like she did. So as you can imagine, them together, they were the life of the party.
And just a year into the relationship, it took an exciting turn.
She was like, Terry, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, I'm supposed to have a baby.
She was very happy when she found out she was pregnant.
I just didn't believe it at the time that she was pregnant. So she must have really been in love with this young man.
She was ready to have a child and to have a family.
But just a few months before Mika's due date, tragedy struck.
The tragedy came about by homicide, where her partner Pete was unfortunately murdered.
Pete was another casualty of the gun violence plaguing Richmond.
Later in the summer, after her partner Pete died, Mika delivered her beautiful baby girl.
Caring for a newborn wasn't easy without Pete.
So she went to a little depressed stage, and she used to cry a lot.
Why don't you let me hold the baby for a little bit? Okay.
We all just took care of her because she always gave us joy, happiness. And now we had to turn around and be that support system, for her.
One such person who became a beacon for Mika in times of need was her close friend, Cameron.
Hey, Kiki. Brought you a little something.
Thanks, Cam.
You're welcome.
Cameron was a friend of the family. Like, we knew his relatives. They actually lived down the hill from us.
She really depended on him as a person to share her life with, get advice from, and to have a friendship with.
I don't know if I can do this without Pete.
Hey, you're not alone. We got you.
Cameron was a really good support system for her. He helped her get through that tough time.
And with her loved one's support, Mika was able to push through the heartbreak and embrace the joys of motherhood.
She loved being a mom. Motherhood was the best thing that had ever happened to her.
But now, the safety of Mika and her daughter has been called into question after screams were heard from their apartment.
A neighbor called 911 after being woken up by the screaming.
I'm really concerned about my neighbor.
When officers arrive at Mika's apartment, they find her door ajar.
When you see an open door, then you know that there's trouble, there's a problem, so you have to be on guard and ready.
Is anyone here?
When they were clearing the living room area, it was obvious that there had been some type of struggle in there.
Things are all over the place, furniture is moved.
And then they find Mika.
Her hands are tied above her head, and there's a blanket covering her face.
Her underwear had also been pulled down, leading police to believe they may have been dealing with a case of sexual assault.
It's a tragic scene, but it's not a hopeless one.
The officer goes to check on her, and to his surprise, he finds out that she's still alive.
Get in your mess in here.
In January of 1999, 26-year-old single mom Mika Wadley was finding joy in motherhood.
She lost her partner, Pete, shortly after she became pregnant.
It had been a tough year for her. Her daughter was truly a light in the darkness for her.
But now Mika has been found unresponsive on the floor of her apartment after a neighbor reported the sound of screams.
Thankfully, there's still a chance to save her.
Get in your mess in here.
Paramedics responded and transported her to a local hospital.
But where is Mika's 18-month-old daughter?
There's no baby to be found.
We were panicked. We thought maybe there had been a kidnapping as well.
Fortunately, police soon learn that Mika's daughter is safe and sound with family.
She was at my grandmother's house. She was with us.
Upon hearing what's happened, Mika's sister Keela drops everything and heads straight to the hospital, where Mika is now in the ICU.
I got to the hospital and I said, "Where is she?" And he said, "Oh, they're working on her." Then I saw a glass door and you could see them working on her.
They were trying to resuscitate her, but it wasn't going well.
And then they came in the room and they said she died. And I said, who do you mean she did? They said they can't tell me nothing. And that was it.
When Keela communicates the tragic news to the rest of Mika's loved ones, they're equally devastated.
A lot of questions. Is this real? When you lose a child, it's hard, you know.
To hear that your best friend is dead, that was the worst day of my life. Mika was so joyful, so full of life. Who would want to do something like that to her?
Back in Mika's apartment, detectives begin trying to answer that question.
What was initially a horrific and brutal assault has now become a homicide case.
Outside the residence, investigators locate an important clue.
I noticed that there was a large window screen resting against the fence.
Is this where the perpetrator entered? Is this how the person got into the home?
Inside the apartment, it's clear Mika put up a fight with her attacker.
There's clear evidence that there's been a violent struggle here.
The couch cushions, some were laying on the floor. There was blood evidence. There was a pair of platform boots, and one was missing a black shoelace. So we automatically assumed that how the suspect bound her wrist was by removing the shoelace from Mika's shoe.
Detectives believe sexual assault was the sole motive in this crime.
Her wallet was still there. There was jewelry that was still there.
Aside from the living room where the big fight happened, the house was otherwise untouched. There wasn't anything obvious missing.
But that's not the only reason police think they can rule out robbery as a motive.
When first responders found her, she had a blanket covering her face.
In my experience, when there are homicides or sexual assaults and it's a known offender, they will often cover the victim's face, almost like they didn't want to see the person in their last seconds.
That was a sign to investigators that it was likely someone that she knew.
In their search for answers, detectives turned to the neighbor who called 911, Andrew Piper.
He knew Mika. When he learned that she had been killed, it was devastating to him.
So when you went to check on her earlier this morning, was the door locked?
Well, at first it was.
After calling 911, he walked back to Mika's apartment.
And this time, the door was open.
This was startling to the neighbor in that just moments before, this door was locked.
I thought about going to check in on her at that point, but I was afraid.
He had a little bit of remorse because despite the door being open, he chose not to go in.
Was there anyone else in the vicinity while all of this was going on?
Well, there was this one guy.
He noticed that there was a man in the distance exiting the apartment complex. He was too far away to get a good look, but he believed that he was wearing a beanie and a gray sweatshirt.
His pace and his gait didn't lend one to believe like he was running from the scene. I mean, could have just be a random person just walking toward the bus stop.
Regardless, it's the only real lead investigators have at this point.
Although the 911 caller couldn't give a really detailed description, he was able to give the officers enough to put out an APB for someone wearing a gray sweatshirt and a beanie.
Could this man be the key to unlocking the case?
Detectives in Richmond, California are investigating the death of beloved 26-year-old single mother, Mika Wadley.
Mika Wadley was murdered inside her apartment.
And the only lead they have so far is a vague one.
A neighbor saw a man he didn't recognize leaving the apartment complex after the crime took place. But the man wasn't exhibiting any suspicious behavior, so it's not clear if he had anything to do with it.
As officers continue putting feelers out for this mysterious individual, detectives receive word that the results of Mika's autopsy are in.
Her autopsy spoke volumes. Mika died in probably the most personal way that you can die. She was smothered. That takes a while to take place, and that's very painful.
But according to the autopsy, Mika wasn't sexually assaulted.
She was a firecracker, and she fought him tooth and nail until the end.
She must have fought so hard that her killer was not successful in that regard.
Detectives suspect that after the killer heard Andrew Piper knocking on the door, he knew his time was limited.
When she screamed, he had to know that someone was going to come. He had to know that if he didn't prevent Mika from being able to tell anybody who he was, he, unfortunately for Mika, had to make a decision.
So he smothered her to keep her quiet, and when he thought she was dead, he fled the scene.
But who is he? Investigators hope Mika's family can provide some insight.
Can you think of anyone who would want to attack Mika?
No, everybody loved her.
If you seen her as a person, you wouldn't think she had no enemies at all.
I just couldn't see why someone would want to take her life.
What about a boyfriend? Was she seeing anyone?
Probably in any homicide case where you have a woman who's been killed, I mean, the first person that police always look at is a boyfriend.
But she wasn't with anybody.
After her ex died, she kind of gave up on dating.
She'd just been focused on her daughter and wasn't trying to get into a relationship anytime soon.
So you can't think of anyone that she may have been out with on Friday night?
Mika's family reveals she did go out with someone that evening.
But he's just a friend.
What is his name?
Cameron King.
The detectives learned that the night before, Mika and her good friend Cameron had dropped off Mika's daughter with Mika's family so that the two of them can go see a movie.
The family tells me that he is somebody that she had known for about 6 or 7 years after meeting at a local junior college.
He was real goofy like her. They would just go to the movies and hang out, but she wasn't like attracted to him.
However, Mika's family says Cameron was clearly vying for something more.
And he definitely wanted to date her.
The way that Cameron would kind of gush around, when Mika would speak, they were pretty confident in knowing that he had a crush on her.
Oftentimes, when they were hanging out late, Mika would allow Cameron to crash on her couch, and he would leave early in the morning before she would wake up.
However, the family says a few weeks earlier, Cameron had exhibited some strange behavior.
They didn't really feel, initially anyway, that he would ever act on his feelings, except several weeks prior to Mika's homicide. Mika shared with her sisters that one night Cameron was over watching a movie. She went to bed. He was going to sleep on the couch and then let himself out.
But when she woke up in the middle of the night, she saw Cameron sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at her.
Cameron, what are you doing?
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna leave. Okay? I'm sorry.
It really freaked Mika out.
Based on this unsettling information, detectives can't help but wonder if Cameron had something to do with Mika's death.
At this point, the urgency to speak to him has now increased because here we have a young woman that was found naked from the waist down and having a male friend that I was told that also was infatuated with her, that was close to her, and that may have wanted more.
Maybe he can no longer deal with the rejection and finally snapped.
In January of 1999, detectives investigating the homicide of 26-year-old single mother Mika Wadley are growing suspicious of her friend, Cameron King.
Apparently, Cameron wanted more than just a friendship from Mika, but Mika wasn't into him like that.
Cameron, what are you doing?
Maybe he can no longer deal with the rejection and finally snapped.
Investigators waste no time locating Cameron and bring him in for an interview.
We need to speak with you about your friend Mika.
What about her?
Cameron was informed that Mika was brutally murdered.
Wow, that's just too bad.
You would have expected sobbing, crying, or some shock, and that did not take place with Cameron.
You were close, right?
Yeah, we were close.
I remember sitting in the interview and being very much taken aback by this. Like, we could have been talking about, a sporting event, and it would have been the same.
Did you ever have any romantic feelings for Mika?
Nah.
He flatly denied it. He said that they were just friends and that was not an interest on his part.
Did you watch her in her sleep?
Nah.
He said, no, never happened. I never made any advances on her.
He made it appear as if she were the one that really wanted to be with him.
There was a part of me that felt that he was trying to distance himself from her romantically, given how she died. And I honestly wasn't buying it.
We believe you were the last person to see Mika before she was killed. That does not look good for you.
They asked him to walk them through what he and Mika did on Friday the 8th.
Damn. We just went to see a movie, okay?
And nothing else happened?
That's when Cameron admits that there was something odd that Mika said to him that night.
She knew she was gonna die.
According to Cameron, Mika actually brought up her impending death that night.
And I'll be honest with you, when he said that to me, like, the hair on my neck stood up.
Cam, if I died tonight, would you come to my funeral?
Come on, quit playing.
Promise me you'll come.
All right. Okay, Kiki. I promise I'll be there, okay? But you gotta stop acting so morbid, all right?
Well, did you ever ask her why she felt that way?
Not really. I just changed the subject, it kind of creeped me out.
Which is unusual. If they're such good friends, I would expect him to question, well, what's wrong? Is somebody following you? Like, why would you say that? And he didn't.
After the movie got out around 12:30 a.m., Cameron states that he dropped Mika off at her apartment.
You sure you didn't spend the night?
Not this time.
He leaves and he returns home to his apartment in Oakland, which is about 20 minutes away.
When you dropped her off, did you happen to notice one of the windows had the screen removed?
I asked him, are your fingerprints going to be on the window? Remember, there was an open window, and his response was, no, I didn't crawl through no window. Again, another red flag, and I challenged him on it. I said, I didn't mention anybody crawling through an open window.
At this point, investigators are extremely suspicious.
But Cameron insists that he was home all night after dropping Mika off.
I dropped her off. I went straight home, got there at 1:30, didn't go anywhere. Went straight to bed. Didn't leave until 10:30 the next morning when I went to work.
Can anyone else corroborate that?
That's when Cameron drops a bombshell.
Cameron says, yes, you can ask my wife.
Cameron is not a single man. He's been in a relationship with a woman named Whitney Clark for 4 years.
She is basically his common law wife that they have a child together.
It suddenly seems extremely strange that he's going out on what seems like a date with another woman to the movies.
This really got the detectives' attention because she might be a person that had a motive. Her husband was spending the night at Mika's home, taking her to movies, spending a large amount of time with her.
Investigators contact Whitney Clark, and she agrees to come into the station for an interview.
They started off by asking her if it troubled her that Cameron left her alone so that he could take another woman out to a movie.
Not really. They were just friends. I met her a time or two.
They asked her, did Cameron come home on the night of the 8th? After he took Mika to the movies, and she said yes.
She corroborates Cameron's story. She says that Cameron comes home at 1:30 a.m., gets into bed with her, they watch some TV.
Then they went to bed, and he left for work around 10:30 the next morning.
We know that her neighbor phoned the police around 7:30 a.m. after hearing her screams.
There's no way he could have had anything to do with what happened with Mika.
In her mind, he couldn't have been responsible because he was in bed with her.
You're sure?
100%.
They asked her, would you be willing to take a polygraph test? And she says yes.
The investigators hooked her up to the lie detector machine, and the examiner begins a series of questions.
But it doesn't take long for the needle to spike.
The text comes back positive for deception, that she's not telling the truth.
Richmond detectives are in the midst of interviewing Whitney Clark about the murder of 26-year-old single mother Mika Wadley.
Her common-law husband, Cameron King, was the last person to see Mika alive before she was killed.
Whitney has denied having anything to do with Mika's murder and says she was at home with her young daughter that morning. According to Whitney, Cameron was home too. But is she telling the truth?
So, as a part of her questioning, Cameron's wife was asked to take a polygraph test that she unfortunately failed.
The two questions on which she was deemed untruthful were, are you certain Cameron came home at 1:30 a.m.? And are you covering up for your husband?
Whitney, we know you aren't being totally honest with us here.
Okay.
Whitney admits that Cameron's close relationship with Mika bothered her more than she initially let on.
She breaks down and admits, yes, it upset me that my husband went out with this woman.
In fact, she was really upset because she believed that Cameron had taken $20 from out of her pocket in order to go to the movies.
Imagine if someone used your hard-earned cash to buy another woman's movie ticket and popcorn. Right, it made my blood boil.
But Whitney maintains that Cameron did return home by 1:30 a.m.
She had stayed up until he arrived home at 1:30 in the morning because she was going to confront him about the money that he had stolen from her to take Mika out.
So after Cameron got home later that night after dropping off Mika, he and his wife had an argument.
The argument went on for a while until Cameron said he was done arguing and crawled into bed and went to sleep.
She woke at 10:30 in the morning. Cameron was in bed with her. She said, I'm a sound sleeper. I slept right through until 10:30 a.m. Well, if you were soundly asleep, how would you know if Cameron would have gotten up and left and returned home?
Mika was killed around 7:30 a.m. It's entirely possible that Cameron could have gone back to Mika's and killed her, and then snuck back into bed before his wife woke up.
After speaking with Whitney, detectives circle back around to Cameron and issue another polygraph test. Will he also show signs of deception?
During the polygraph examination, Cameron did pass some of the test questions where he works, where he lives, things of that nature.
Then, as the questions get related to the incident and more complicated, all of a sudden, he is found untruthful on two questions.
The first question is, were you present when Mika Wadley was injured? The second question was, did you have anything to do with the death of Mika Wadley?
He failed miserably on both those questions.
It's been looking more and more to investigators like they've zeroed in on their main suspect.
But Cameron insists they've got it all wrong.
When I continued to press him, he just continued to announce his innocence. I didn't do it. I was home.
You're wasting your time. I didn't do it.
All of this adding up is unsettling. His story felt very manufactured. And I felt like at that moment that I could have been looking at a killer.
Detectives take DNA and fingerprint samples from both Cameron and Whitney.
But once it's run through the lab and compared to the DNA at the crime scene, detectives are surprised to learn it was, in fact, not a match.
Are you sure?
There's no DNA from Cameron or his wife that's at the crime scene that's on Mika.
So now, they had to start from square one.
If Cameron wasn't involved, they can't rule out that this was a completely random crime.
So that was really what we were fearing, is that we had a serial rapist on our hands.
Despite the setback, investigators continue to diligently work on the case.
Our focus was still continuing to see, if not Cameron, then who? And we just continue to forge ahead and try to identify the person.
Police acquired a list of every known sex offender in the area, and they interviewed each one of them to make sure that they had a rock-solid alibi.
But their efforts prove unfruitful.
So days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, and months turned into years, and the case became cold.
So, I mean, you can imagine how difficult this would be for Mika's family.
Beside being disappointed that they may never get justice, they're also worried about their own safety.
I'm scared to go in my own house because you have that in the head. Who is it? Is it someone I know? Am I talking to this person? Like, why? Like, I could be next to them.
As time drags on, Detective Kern eventually retires. But even in retirement, Mika's case stays on her mind.
I still kept kind of one foot in the door, would still ask the cold case, hey, how are we? Where are we with this? Is there anything more we can do?
She made a promise to the family that they would catch Mika's killer, and she wanted to make good on that promise.
And in 2020, 21 years after Mika's death, a new team of investigators starts making headway with the help of recent technological advances.
DNA technology had come a long way.
Parts of the fingernail clippings and ligatures that had not been tested was tested.
The new team also takes a look at the shoelace that was wrapped around Mika's hand, and they're able to find DNA from that shoelace. That's also the DNA from a male donor. The question now is, who is the donor? Where did this DNA come from?
To be perfectly transparent, throughout the whole 20 years, I believed it was Cameron.
But the new DNA samples still aren't a match for Cameron King or his wife.
I was speechless. All roads led to Cameron, and yet it wasn't Cameron. You could have knocked me down with a feather, honestly. Like, I was taken aback, just shocked.
One of the most shocking aspects of this case are the polygraph results, which is in contrast with the physical evidence. Even though the polygraph shows signs of deception, it's hard to argue with DNA evidence.
Most people don't understand what it's like to be inside of a police room, be asked questions. It's very stressful. It's very unnerving.
And it's quite possible the stress that Cameron was feeling in the interrogation room caused him to fail the polygraph test.
But even though investigators have hit a wall with their prime suspect, they continue to push on.
They started using public DNA databases, meaning 23andMe and all the ones where you put your own information and DNA in so you could find lost relatives.
Against all odds, they get a hit, and it was someone no one ever expected.
I'm like, what? For real? I know him.
21 years have passed since the murder of beloved single mother, Mika Wadley. But now detectives may finally have the lead they've been waiting for.
So after 20 years with the advances in technologies, detectives decided to reopen this case and to test DNA with new measures.
They started using public DNA databases, meaning 23andMe and all the ones where you put your own information and DNA in so you could find lost relatives.
Against all odds, they get a hit, and it was someone no one ever expected.
His name is Jerry Lee Henderson.
His name has never come up, not one time throughout this 20-year investigation.
Richmond Police Department contacted the family and showed a picture, and they asked, do you know the name of Jerry Lee Henderson? And at that time, they had no knowledge of anybody by that name.
And I told her I don't recognize the picture. I don't know him.
But Mika's best friend, Terry Adams, recognizes the name immediately.
Keela gave me a call and said, Terry, they found out who killed Mika. And I'm like, what? For real? And then she said it was a guy named Jerry Henderson. You know him? I'm like, yes, I know him.
Jerry Lee had attended some classes at junior college with Mika. He was kind of an acquaintance, but not anybody that she would speak of frequently.
We all went to Contra Costa College. We would just hang out, but I couldn't see the connection with Jerry and Mika because they weren't friends outside of us being all together.
Around the time Mika was killed, Jerry had been down on his luck.
He was having problems trying to have work and find a place to live. He'd actually been kicked out of his place.
He was homeless at some point.
So the million-dollar question is, why?
Why and how he ended up at her home that night.
So one theory that was put forward was that Jerry may have been coming to Mika's apartment in search of a place to stay because he had been kicked out.
So investigators believe he most likely snuck in through the window early in the morning, thinking Mika wasn't home. When he made it through the window and spotted Mika asleep, something in him must have snapped and decided he wanted more than just a place to stay.
Investigators believe he spotted her boots on the floor and quietly removed one of the shoelaces.
What are you doing? Let me go! Stop! Jerry, stop!
So he binds her wrist and he's trying to sexually assault her.
But Mika fought back.
She's on the couch. She's pushing and she's fighting. She gave it her all.
That's why we have this evidence of this struggle. She must have fought really hard in order to make sure he wouldn't do what he was trying to do.
She bled pretty well from her defensive wounds.
All this while Mika was screaming at the top of her lungs, so loud that it woke her neighbor.
Mika!
When Jerry heard the knocks at the door, he began to panic.
He wraps her with the blanket really quick to quiet her.
But she wasn't quiet enough, so he smothered her.
Stop fighting! Shut up!
Mika fought her hardest, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to save her life.
But Mika's struggle, her fight, her tenacity prevented this perpetrator from sexually assaulting her. So if there's anything that the family can have some type of peace with, is that she was not sexually violated.
No one knows for sure if the man that Andrew Piper saw walking out of the apartment complex that day was Jerry, but it certainly seems likely.
Now that we have a name, and now that we have a DNA match, detectives want to speak to Jerry Lee Henderson.
But they find that they can't do that. They can't do that ever because Jerry Lee died 11 days after Mika's murder.
Although Jerry's cause of death was never confirmed, it appeared to be a drug overdose.
This is a bittersweet resolution that in some ways feels a little bit hollow because, we'll never be able to confront Jerry Lee Henderson and ask, why did you do this? What was your motivation?
Some of the answers we'll never have.
And unfortunately, Jerry Lee Henderson has taken that secret to his grave.
Mika's family is glad they have answers. However, a part of them still remains unconvinced.
That young man didn't do that. It don't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Jerry Henderson, he was the nicest guy. Jerry was really laid back and quiet. I just couldn't see what would do something like that.
They said he OD'd, but there ain't no drugs in his system. If you read it, that's what they said.
He didn't club. He didn't drink. He wasn't interested in the kind of stuff.
To be honest with you, I don't know if he was working with someone, but I honestly feel he might have been there, but it's more to this story, but we will never know.
It's tough. I sometimes look back and wonder, could I have done more? Were there things that I missed? And I guess I'll never have those answers either.
And while there are still so many questions, one thing is for certain. Mika will forever live on in the hearts of all that knew her. Hard to get her life back on course.
She was always the one that just bring light to any dark place.
She loved her children. I know that she wanted them back.
She really started hustling and made great progress towards her goals.
How'd it go tonight?
Honey, does this answer your question?
However, fate had other plans.
He sees a woman face down in a pool of blood.
He tried to check to see if she was alive, but he did not find a pulse.
That type of wound will cause somebody to bleed out immediately and die.
The crime scene leaves more questions than answers.
Police see what could look like some drug paraphernalia.
People said that they were arguing for 3 hours and screaming like crazy.
It's stunning that no one reported hearing these gunshots after they went off.
But her family won't rest until justice is served.
The police grabbed me and tried to restrain me and stuff, and I was fighting with them and stuff.
Where's my sister?
And when her killer is finally revealed,
My homeboy had sent me an article, and I was like, holy.
It's all hands on deck to apprehend him before he vanishes for good.
You can see him just walking across the border into Mexico.
There was a chance they'd never find him.
I wanted him to rot.
July 26th, 2020, Lantana, Florida. It's early Sunday morning in this coastal community just south of Palm Beach.
Lantana's kind of like all the rest of the smaller towns along the East Coast in Palm Beach County. It's a sleepy beach town.
Despite being so close to a tourist hotspot and on the coastline, Lantana isn't a tourist destination. It's mostly for the locals.
It's a small community, probably about 12,000 residents, middle class, mostly hardworking people who live there.
However, despite its small size, Lantana is no stranger to crime.
Some parts of Lantana, the further east you go, is a little more sketchy, if you will.
It is an area that is pretty high with crime and drugs and just other economic challenges.
At a small, unassuming motel on the east side of town, one of the guests is returning to his room after having a smoke.
When he went outside a few minutes earlier, he noticed the door to another guest room was open, and he didn't think anything of it. But as he's coming back, the door is still open.
His curiosity got the best of him, and he looked inside.
Hey, is anyone in there?
At first, he could only sort of see her legs that were sort of protruding from the edge of the bed because her body was being blocked by the bed.
Miss!
He walks in a little bit further in the room. He sees a woman face down in a pool of blood.
Miss! Miss!
He tried to check to see if she was alive, so he did feel her neck and her arm for a pulse. He did not find a pulse.
He immediately dials 911.
Yeah, I think I just found a dead body.
Within minutes, Lantana investigators are on the scene.
Police are no stranger to this area, and even this motel. This is an area where a lot of crime takes place.
They found the young woman laying on the floor, face down. Her hands were found above her head. And usually when someone is in that position, it would appear that they're trying to protect themselves from something happening. So it could tell the story that this young lady probably knew what was going to happen to her.
It looks like we're dealing with a gunshot wound.
She was struck one time in the neck, a through and through wound, and that type of wound will cause somebody to bleed out immediately and die.
Because of the way she's positioned, police believe that she was most likely crouched behind the bed in fear when the shot went through the mattress and hit her.
But who is she?
They find a wallet on the bed. When they open the wallet, they find the ID. The ID belongs to 29-year-old Denicia Seward.
Wherever Denicia Seward went, joy seemed to follow.
She had a personality out of this world. My sister loved gymnastics, and she loves to dance.
If any time somebody in the room was mad or whatever, she would know how to just make the whole energy change. That happy-go-lucky person, Always the one that just bring light to any dark place.
As one of 5 siblings, Denicia always cherished being surrounded by the people who loved her.
We got a big family, but we always was together until we got grown.
We always had each other's back.
But there was no one Denicia cherished more than her 4 kids.
Denicia loved her children.
She was the best mom.
She was really loving and caring about me. She was a very good person. She was funny.
However, being a single mom came with its fair share of challenges, and Denicia soon found herself struggling to keep up.
She started struggling with drug addiction.
She became overwhelmed by the financial responsibilities of raising 4 kids, and she had to make the difficult decision to let them live with their fathers while she got her finances in order.
She loved her children and she wanted her children. She was really sad that she currently didn't have them, and I know that she wanted them back.
Determined to make ends meet, Denicia got a job as an exotic dancer.
She was down on her luck at this time, and she was living in a motel. She was trying to better her life and get back on her feet.
She was like, I gotta provide my family, and that's what she did. That's what she did. So I respect it.
Denicia also had a supportive boyfriend named Jason Miller that was with her every step of the way.
How'd it go tonight?
Honey, does this answer your question?
They met at the club. He's like a kind of dude that he deals with girls like that, but he fell in like it to my sister.
You are good at what you do, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Jason was known as a bit of a gentle giant.
He's a big guy, but he's a teddy bear.
And he treated Denicia and her family with the utmost respect.
When they first met, he came to me like, look, man, I'm gonna take care of him. I know what people may say about me. I'm like, bro, just don't put your hands on my sister. I'm like, I don't care what you do. She's small, she gets big. Compared to you, she just don't put your hands on my sister.
With Jason by her side, it seemed like only a matter of time before Denicia would turn her life around and get her kids back.
She loved them, they were inseparable.
But Denicia's dreams for a better future are shattered when she's discovered shot to death inside a seedy motel on Lantana's east side.
When the Lantana Police Department began the task of processing the scene, they found evidence throughout the room that there was obviously a party, there was alcohol, there were empty drink containers.
They also see what could look like some drug paraphernalia.
Detectives can't help but wonder, was Denicia's murder the result of a drug deal gone wrong?
29-year-old Denicia Seward was a single mother of 4 who had recently fallen on hard times.
She loved all her kids and would do anything for them.
She always came around when I needed her.
She was really sad that she currently didn't have them, and she wanted them back.
She decided she would do whatever it took to make that happen. So she really started hustling and made great progress towards her goals.
And with her boyfriend, Jason Miller, by her side, things were looking up.
She loved them, they were inseparable. I can't lie, like that was the most happiest I've ever seen her.
But in the early morning hours of July 26th, Denicia has been found brutally murdered in a motel room in Lantana, Florida.
So now they have to figure out who did this to her. In the room, detectives see what could look like some drug paraphernalia.
Detectives can't help but wonder, was Denicia's murder the result of a drug deal gone wrong?
When detectives continue to examine the room, they locate 6 shell casings sprawled across the floor.
It's clear the shot that hit Denicia wasn't the only shot fired that night.
The shell casings match each other. They were all shot from the same firearm.
It was determined that the firearm that was used was a Glock 40, which is a powerful weapon used by the military and most police agencies.
It's stunning that no one reported hearing these gunshots after they went off. But unfortunately, the sound of gunshots is pretty typical in this area.
A lot of times, people just don't want to get involved.
Further complicating things, motel management isn't on site.
Still no answer.
There's not a manager or motel employee detectives can easily speak with to get surveillance footage or more information.
As Lantana police continue trying to get a hold of someone that works at the motel, detectives get whatever limited information they can out of the other motel guests.
Some guests admitted they heard arguing coming from Denisia's room.
I heard arguing around 2:30 a.m.
The guests say it sounded like a male voice.
People said they were arguing for 3 hours and screaming like crazy.
You see what he looked like?
No.
Detectives believe that whoever Denisia was arguing with that night must be the person who killed her.
Meanwhile, news of Denisia's passing spreads throughout the community.
There were lots of people that were posting on social media what they thought was happening at the motel. So her family and friends started to show up at the motel.
I was one of the first ones called, and I even thought it was real. When I had pulled up on the scene, the police grabbed me and tried to restrain me and stuff, and I was fighting with them and stuff.
Dad, my sister's in here. Sorry for your loss. All right, just break it down a little bit, all right?
Once investigators are able to calm Brian down, they try to see if he has any information that could aid in the investigation.
Do you have any idea who could have done this?
No, I have no idea. I just got out of prison.
I had just came home from prison. I never seen her a day alive after I got out.
So no boyfriends or anything that we need to look into?
No.
Brian doesn't believe Denisia's boyfriend, Jason Miller, is capable of this.
Denisia's relationship with her boyfriend Jason wasn't perfect, but no one could imagine him harming her.
He was a heart, but they were just going through trying times right then. She would deal with other dudes just to try to make him feel some type of way.
If Denisia was with another man the night she was killed, are police dealing with a love triangle here?
In July of 2020, police in Lantana, Florida are investigating the mysterious shooting death of 29-year-old Denisia Seward, and her family is still reeling from the tragic news.
Numb. You're just numb. That's the only way I can explain it. I went numb.
Denisia's loved ones have no idea who would do something like this to her.
Denisia had been dating a man named Jason Miller at the time of her death, and their relationship had its ups and downs. But Denisia's brother insists Jason would never do anything to harm her.
He would never do nothing like this.
She would deal with other dudes just to try to make him feel some type of way, but he was a heart.
Upon learning Denisia may have been seeing other men in addition to Jason, detectives must consider a new possibility.
If Denisia was with another man the night she was killed, are police dealing with a love triangle here?
And when's the last time you had contact with Jason?
3 days ago.
Jason actually called Denisia's brother looking for her 3 days earlier.
He had asked me, can I find her? But she had called me like in the midst of the couple of hours and she was like, oh, don't tell him where I'm at.
Just then, the man himself arrives on the scene.
I heard what happened.
Jason seems just as devastated by Denisia's passing as her family members.
Do you have any idea who she could have been with last night?
She was with someone?
Detectives must explain to Jason what they've learned from the other motel guests, that Denisia was heard arguing with a male in her room the night before.
I don't know who she was with. She definitely wasn't with me.
Jason says he was working the night shift during that time.
We had a number and name to your employer so that we can call and clear you. It's typical procedural things, okay?
Sure.
Jason is very cooperative, and he seems like he wants to do whatever he can to help with the investigation.
Thanks, fellas. We're sorry for your loss. Thanks.
But as detectives prepare to head back to the station to continue their investigation, they're stopped by another witness.
Denicia's friend, Izzy, comes on the scene. She's extremely emotional because who would expect something like this to happen to their friend?
Is it true? Is Denicia gone?
Izzy tells investigators that she was actually with Denicia in her motel room last night.
Cheers, man.
So that night before Denicia's demise, you have Denicia, Izzy, and two other friends, and they are socializing in the room. They're doing what young people do. They're partying with each other.
One of the guys was our friend Jamie, and the other guy was someone I never met. I think his name was Andre.
Yo, D, give me another drink.
Can you get it yourself?
Izzy could suspect that there was some sort of tension between Andre and Denicia.
Sit still.
Girl, he just in a mood. Anyway, you want to refill?
Sure.
But what about the drug paraphernalia found in the room?
Izzy says they didn't do any drugs that night, but admits Denicia struggled with drug addiction.
After a few hours of drinking, we were getting tired. So I asked Jamie to drive me home. Hey,
What's going on?
can you take me home?
Sure.
Sometime fairly late or into the early morning hours, they both left together.
The only person left in the room with Denicia was this guy that Izzy only knows as Andre.
Later that day, detectives finally get their hands on the surveillance footage from the motel, and it confirms Izzy's account.
Around 9:34 p.m., they can see Denicia and a man they believe to be Andre arriving at the motel.
A few minutes later, Jamie shows up, and then Izzy arrives pretty soon after that.
Just before 3 a.m., Izzy and Jamie leave together, just like she described to the investigators.
There's no more activity until 3:35 a.m. when detectives can see Andre leaving the motel.
When Andre leaves, the door to the motel room is left ajar.
And no one else enters the motel room until 7:30 a.m. the following morning, when the other motel guest discovers Denicia's body.
For detectives, this can only mean one thing.
This Andre guy is their killer.
Florida detectives investigating the murder of 29-year-old Denicia Seward have just gotten their first big break in the case after obtaining surveillance video from the motel where she was killed.
They can see a man they only know as Andre leave the room shortly before her body was found.
He then goes into a dark-colored sedan and drives off.
When detectives run the plates on the vehicle, it comes back to 28-year-old Andre Ramirez.
At this point, they're certain Andre is their killer.
But surprisingly, Andre's background is completely clean.
Mr. Ramirez did not have a prior criminal history.
So what led him to kill Denicia?
Police need to track down Andre Ramirez immediately. There are still so many questions in this case.
Unfortunately, though, tracking down Andre is no easy task.
He's not at any of his last known addresses, and his phone is going straight to voicemail.
So they put out a bolo.
Next, detectives try contacting those closest to Andre.
The police reach out to his father because they know that if you're on the run, you usually need somebody's help in order to help you financially, or just usually you keep in touch with your family.
The detectives point blank tell him that his son is potentially linked to a murder case.
While Andre's father is shocked by the news, he responds with complete cooperation.
However, his father had said that he didn't know where his son was, and he hadn't spoken with him since the homicide happened.
But he did tell investigators that if he heard from his son, he would call them ASAP.
With still no leads on Andre's whereabouts, detectives sit down with another friend of Denicia's, Jamie Baker.
Thanks for coming in to talk with us, Jamie.
Of course.
Jamie was also there the night Denicia was killed.
And he knows more about Denicia's relationship with Andre Ramirez than Izzy does.
We go way back.
He actually went to middle school with both of them, so they sort of grew up together.
Jamie says that Denicia and Andre had recently rekindled a friendship, but soon that friendship became something more.
They were kind of on and off again, and there was no indication that they were in any sort of committed or serious relationship with one another.
Denicia's true commitment was to Jason.
So Izzy mentioned that Andre seemed to be upset that night you all were hanging out. Do you have any idea what he was upset about?
Was he jealous of Jason?
Nah. I don't even think he knew about Jason.
He suggests one of the problems in the relationship might have been Andre's issues with Denicia's job as an exotic dancer.
He tells the detectives that Andre confided in him about his issues and concerns with Denicia. Andre started to get a little insecure because she was a very beautiful woman and because of her profession. So there was room for jealousy, there was room for mistrust.
But was that enough motive for murder?
To the detectives, it still feels like something is missing here.
Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Andre's father receives an unexpected call from his son.
Hello? Hey, Dad. Andre? Son, where are you? The police are looking for you.
He asked where Andre was, but Andre would not tell him where he was located.
Andre did acknowledge to his father that he felt that he had failed his family, he had failed himself. His father is asking him to turn himself in, but he's fleeing.
Listen, you've got to come back.
Okay.
I think this is just a big misunderstanding.
I'm sorry I let you down, Dad.
I've got to go.
Hello?
Andre's father immediately informs police about the phone call.
To detectives, the phone call is a clear admission of guilt.
It doesn't sound like he has any plans of coming back and facing the consequences. He's now on the run.
But the number Andre called from gives detectives a clue to his current whereabouts.
Andre's father says he didn't recognize the number that Andre called him from. It wasn't his main cell phone number.
I think it was a 404 number in Georgia.
So police officers speculate that he had to have got a phone, such as a track phone or a burner phone, in Georgia.
Could Andre still be there now?
It's possible he's hiding out somewhere in Georgia, but it's also possible he had just picked up this burner phone when he was passing through Georgia to his next destination.
Seeing the great lengths Andre has gone to evade capture, Lantana detectives decide to call in federal support.
The local police department doesn't have the capability to track a fugitive. So when you have a fugitive and he's left the state, you contact the U.S. Marshal's office.
They have the resources and the technology to track even burner phones, especially once they know the phone number, which they were able to acquire from Andre's father.
Lantana investigators also turn to the public for help.
A Crime Stoppers tip line offers a reward up to $3,000 for any tips leading to an arrest.
During this time, Denicia's loved ones are starting to grow restless.
It was frustrating because we wanted justice. But, I mean, we can't do the job that the police can do, so really, we just had to just wait and pray that he got caught.
And on July 29th, U.S. Marshals finally make a breakthrough in the case.
They're able to trace Andre's burner phone from the location where he first purchased it near Georgia through 3 other states: Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana.
Now, the phone is pinging almost 1,500 miles away in Texas.
Investigators are able to continue following Andre through Texas, where he finally stops in the city of Laredo.
U.S. Marshals actually notified authorities in Laredo, letting them know that Andre's phone was pinging in the area.
But there's one big problem.
Laredo is a stone's throw from the border.
And surveillance footage confirms investigators' worst fears.
You can see Mr. Ramirez basically parking his car and heading in the direction of the border.
Andre has fled to Mexico.
By July 2020, investigators have zeroed in on Andre Ramirez as the prime suspect in the murder of 29-year-old Denicia Seward.
However, he's now on the run.
He was last spotted in Laredo, Texas.
Authorities in Laredo locate Andre's abandoned car, but there's no sign of their fugitive.
And they did a processing of that car.
In the trunk, he's got a speed loader for a Glock 40 that matched the type of casings that were located and the projectiles located on the scene. But they didn't find the weapon.
And surveillance footage confirms investigators' worst fears.
You can see Mr. Ramirez basically parking his car and heading in the direction of the border and basically just walking across the border into Mexico.
So now it's safe to say that Andre has fled to Mexico.
However, U.S. authorities aren't giving up.
At this point, all hands are on deck. You have the U.S. Marshals, you have the Mexican police, and then you have the authorities in Laredo. They are working together to make sure that they are able to secure Andre.
But several more months pass with no signs of Andre. And Denicia's loved ones start losing hope they'll ever see justice served in her case.
Like, this dude, there's no way he should have went on the run that long. Like, come on, like, that's crazy. Like, I don't even understand that.
He took my sister. I wanted him to rot.
With pressure mounting, Lantana detectives press on and continue building their case.
In early August, Lantana police get a call from one of Andre's friends.
He believes Andre stole a gun from him, and that was the gun used to kill Denicia.
All right, can you walk me through from when the last time you saw it and all the way through?
We went out to like shooting. It was on a Friday.
He and Andre had gone target shooting 2 weeks or so before the murder.
After they were done at the shooting range, Andre asked to borrow his gun for a while.
Okay. What kind of gun was it?
It was a Glock 40-22.
And the gun was never returned.
You saw what's going on with him though, right?
Yeah, my homeboy had sent me an article and I was like, oh man.
So after he realized that Miss Seward was killed, that Andre Ramirez was missing, and that he was nowhere to be found, this friend then contacted law enforcement because he was concerned that this gun, if it did show up, it would come back registered to him, and he didn't want to be on the hook for this homicide.
But unfortunately, Andre's friend has no idea where he is now.
He hadn't spoken to him since that day at the shooting range.
However, when detectives get their hands on the cell phone records from Andre's main device, they finally start to get more answers on the motive in this crime.
Like Jamie described, Denicia and Andre appear to have had a very on and off relationship.
Things really started to become sticky between them, and it kind of escalates into this tense relationship.
It didn't help the situation when the couple's romantic relationship evolved into a working relationship.
In addition to being an exotic dancer, Denicia started working as an escort with the help of Andre.
We're going to be making money like you've never seen before.
Detectives found ads outlining Denicia's services on several platforms paid for by Andre.
He would also pay for her motel rooms and food while she was escorting.
These escorts, I mean, in Florida, they make quite a bit of money. So he was making money off her. What he did is he took a percentage of what she was doing. He'd get a motel room, and she could make up to $500 to $1,000 a night, depending on what the client was paying.
But through the text messages, it appears that Denicia eventually became uncomfortable with this setup.
In the text messages, detectives are able to see the distress that Denicia was in because she was constantly telling Andre about the things that she did not like in their relationship.
How'd it go?
Fine.
Let me see.
She felt that she was being mistreated or maybe even used. It does seem that she had expectations of him to be her protector, that she believed that there was more to the relationship than perhaps him helping profit from her body, which, looks like what happened here.
Andre, I don't want to do this anymore.
What?
Andre still tried to maintain control through saying, different things to kind of appeal to her heartstrings.
Baby, let's think about this for a second. Don't you want your kids back?
Yeah, but...
Baby, we're so close. Just look at this cash.
This is what you often see in an abusive relationship. Not all abuse is physical. And this sound like this was more so about dominance and control.
Got another guy coming the next few hours. Get yourself cleaned up, okay?
If Denicia refused to let Andre control her, is that what sent Andre over the edge?
Now more than ever, investigators are desperate to track down Andre Ramirez.
With Andre having fled to Mexico, there was a chance they'd never find him.
But on July 9th, 2021, nearly a year after Denicia was killed, Lantana detectives get the call they've been waiting for.
Lantana homicide.
Mexican authorities found Andre.
Andre has been detained and he is in custody.
My sister was always always charismatic. She was always giving. She was always outgoing, and she was unpredictable. The only one who could predict her is my grandma or maybe me. I love my sister with every inch of breath I breathe, with every drop of blood that's in my body. I would give my life if it meant for her to live. She is not gonna be forgotten.
29-year-old Andre Ramirez, wanted for the murder of Denicia Seward, crossed the Mexican border in a bid to evade capture.
For nearly a year, Andre had been successful in his escape.
But on July 9th, 2021, Andre's escape comes to an end.
Lantana homicide.
After months of dedicated police work, the U.S. Marshals finally developed a lead on Andre's location and coordinated with Mexican authorities to apprehend him.
Andre has been detained and he is in custody.
After Andre is extradited back to Florida, Lantana detectives finally get to sit down with the man that's been consuming their investigation for the past year.
So nice to finally meet you.
You've been a busy guy.
But if detectives were hoping to get a confession out of Andre, they're out of luck.
It's time for you to come clean and tell us what happened.
I have nothing to tell you. I want an attorney.
Immediately, he lawyers up.
Are you sure, Andre? This is your last chance to tell us your side.
I'm sure.
But even without a confession, investigators are able to formulate a theory as to what happened on the night of July 25th.
Based on the statements from Izzy and Jamie, it's clear that there was some tension between Andre and Denicia that night.
Hey, what's his deal?
Girl, he just in a mood.
Investigators believe that tension had been building between Andre and Denicia because she didn't want to keep escorting. She was ready to quit.
But Andre was making a lot of money off of her, and he wanted to keep making that money.
Just before 3 a.m., Izzy and Jamie went home, leaving Denicia and Andre alone in the motel room.
One can only speculate what may have gone down in the room once everyone left.
But one thing is clear. The couple got into an argument that ensued for hours.
Multiple motel guests reported hearing it.
I'm so sick and tired of you taking advantage of me.
Where do you think you'd be without me, huh?
At some point, Andre drew the .40 caliber handgun he'd stolen from his friend.
What are you doing? Put that away.
Once Denicia realized what was about to happen, she ducked behind the bed for cover.
But it was too late.
Andre sprayed the room with bullets, one of which went through the mattress and hit Denicia.
Oh my God.
After she was dead, he probably started to panic.
He left the motel and started planning his escape,
which eventually led him to Mexico.
He didn't just drive home, he just drove and drove and drove until he ended up driving all the way to Texas and then fleeing to Mexico. This was a man who knew he just did something wrong, knew he did something horrible, knew he took her life, and just wanted to get out of there as fast as he could.
Andre Ramirez is charged with second-degree murder.
Prosecutors decided to go with second-degree murder charges in this case because they couldn't prove the crime was premeditated.
We didn't have any evidence to suggest that this was an intentional act. It seemed like it was a heat of passion type of thing.
But in Florida, the maximum penalty for second-degree murder is still pretty strict.
The maximum sentence for second-degree murder is life.
And with the plethora of evidence against him, Andre sees the writing on the wall.
Ultimately, Mr. Ramirez decided to accept a plea in this case. He pled to second-degree murder and agreed to spend 20 years in the Department of Corrections.
So in this type of case here, he's got to do 85% of that time. So he's still young enough to come out around the age of 50.
For Denicia's loved ones, it's a shockingly lenient sentence.
I'm glad he's not able to hurt anyone else, but I always feel like how you take someone out, that's how you should go.
I didn't truly understand the meaning behind it, but, you know, I guess death is not for us to understand.
No matter how you look at this is a senseless tragedy, and it should have never happened, and she deserved better.
That was my mom, and I love her a lot, and I miss her.
I just miss her presence, her goofiness. That's my only sister, you know? You never get another sister back. We all wish she was here, but she still is in spirit.
Like, I love her that much. Like, a lot of people say, oh, why you bringing her back up? But this is what I like. I feel like she's right here. You feel me? I feel like she's right here.
I want people to know that she was a very loving, kind, smart young lady. And I hope that this is gonna touch other women. If you have any signs or see signs of abuse, get help. Call somebody. Tell somebody. And it may save a life. And that's what I hope that we can get by doing this for Denicia Seward.
Abuse is never...
What's your favorite subject?
She was a struggling single mom doing everything she could.
You guys want to play a game?
Yeah.
She was dedicated to her children.
She showed them that she loved them.
To see her evolve into a mother was a beautiful thing.
Until it all came to a horrific end.
It was a bloody crime scene.
One of the worst cases I've ever looked at.
Who does this?
Was it the father of her oldest?
He was hustling.
He was always in and out of jail.
Was it the married man who'd been keeping her a secret?
There has to be an underlying personality disorder there to live a double lifestyle.
Do you want to tell me why I got a call today from your wife?
You throw infidelity into the mix, and that complicates things.
Or was it the new man in her life?
He became a little bit obsessed, like talking crazy.
He was sending threatening letters.
When the investigation begins, only one thing is certain.
You don't know the monster that's lying inside people.
Can't love a monster.
November 20th, 2010. It's a quiet Saturday morning in Tallahassee, Florida. A city of 200,000 that's not on many tourist itineraries.
Tallahassee area is a very complex city. Not only is it the capital, but it is a college town with numerous campuses in the area.
Mostly it's a nice, tranquil community, great place to raise a family.
But for one Tallahassee family, this Saturday is anything but tranquil.
Hey, it's Brandy. Leave a message.
Hey, Brandy, it's Mom again. Give me a call when you get this.
Brandy's family members hadn't heard from her, which was very unusual.
Her mother was starting to feel that unsettling feeling.
And as her worry grows, Brandy's mother makes another call.
Brandy's mother called a neighbor who lived across the street.
She had her go over and see if she was all right.
It's probably nothing, but...
It's no problem at all. I was just walking out the door anyway. I'm gonna call you back, okay?
That intuition is not something that is easily ignored.
When the neighbor gets to Brandy's house, her mother's intuition proves correct.
Brandy?
She looked through the window and saw Brandy Peters' body there in the foyer.
Brandy!
27-year-old Brandy Peters grew up in a tight-knit family.
She was very family-oriented. Loved the family.
They spent a lot of time together. She was definitely very loved.
You could even say she was a little spoiled.
She was the baby. So I would say she probably was the diva of the family.
She was real feisty.
And she always turned the boys' heads.
She was into dressing nice. She was a beautiful girl. Guys was after her.
But Brandy had her sights on something different. At 21, she started dating a man named Mario Michaels.
He was much older than us.
It wasn't exactly the most stable of relationships. It was very tumultuous.
He was always in and out of jail.
But when Mario wasn't behind bars, there was little doubt they were in love.
They had a good relationship.
They also had 2 children together, twin girls.
She took on that motherly role. She loved them.
But with Mario frequently out of the picture, Brandy was often raising the kids on her own.
It was very difficult for Brandy.
Because it's a struggle doing it by yourself.
What she needed was someone she could depend on. someone who wasn't Mario.
She was looking for someone who had a good job, had his head on his shoulder, wasn't in and out of jail, and could be a part of the kid's life.
Brandy thought she might have found him in 28-year-old Henry Segura.
Her and Henry met at a gas station, traded numbers.
How are you?
I'm good.
When they started dating, it looked as if Henry checked all the boxes.
He wasn't in the streets. He wasn't a convicted felon. He wasn't living that lifestyle.
He also had a good job.
How was the drive over?
He was an over-the-road welder.
He traveled from job site to job site.
And he was good with her kids.
He had actually a very close relationship with the twins.
She thought she had someone that was different. She thought she had met the real thing.
There was only one problem.
Do you want to tell me why I got a call today from your wife?
Henry Segura was married.
I'm sorry. The news came as quite a shock to Brandy.
I didn't mean for all this to happen.
Why didn't you tell me?
Look, it's not what you think.
Henry told Brandy that he and his wife were on the verge of splitting up.
That can be really challenging, wanting them to choose you and remaining in that situation.
A situation made even more difficult by the fact that Brandy was carrying Henry's son.
What do we do now?
It's going to be fine. I'm not going anywhere.
He has displayed himself as a decent provider, father figure to the girls, and now it's like I'm having his child, so I have to weigh my options, and she stayed.
But after the birth of their child, Brandy came to a realization.
It became clear to her that he had no intention of leaving his wife.
She said, I'll always be a number 2 or 3 in this person's life.
Brandy broke things off with Henry and spent the next 2 years starting over as a single mom.
She was just trying to get on her feet.
To be there for 3 children is not easy.
But she rose to the occasion.
She got a new home and a new job.
She was doing home health. She was at home health aid.
She was looking forward to what the future holds.
Only now, the bright future Brandy imagined may never come to pass.
Unable to get a hold of Brandy, her mother called a neighbor to go knock on Brandy's door.
Brandy! She saw her laying in the foyer. She saw a large amount of blood.
Brandy!
And called law enforcement.
When officers arrive on scene, they make forced entry into the home.
She's inside.
But there's nothing they can do for Brandy.
She had gunshot wounds. There appeared to be trauma to her head.
She was dead at the scene.
Then, responding officers clear the rest of Brandy's house.
The officers had to make sure there weren't any other victims, but also make sure the suspect isn't there.
There's no sign of the shooter.
But in the bathroom, the officers made a horrific discovery.
Hey, we got more bodies in here.
They found the 3 children in the bathtub.
The children were dead.
Single mother Brandy Peters had spent the past 2 years creating a stable life for her 3 children after ending her relationship with the father of her youngest.
She was married the whole time.
Because it had been a struggle, but she was really starting to get focused on, let me get the kids settled in school, let me focus on where I need to take my career.
But now, Brandy's fresh start has come to a tragic end.
Brandy and her 3 children are dead.
No one had had any contact with her since the night before.
When homicide detectives arrive at the scene, they start by examining Brandy's body, which lies just inside the front door.
There was a bloodied crime scene right there in the foyer.
She'd been beaten and has what appear to be gunshot wounds.
Suspiciously, though, no casings were there. So that tells us 2 things. Either it was cleaned up or someone used a revolver.
And while Brandy died in the foyer, detectives can tell the attack wasn't confined to that area.
A violent struggle occurred in there.
There was a large amount of blood down the hallway.
The children, on the other hand, appear to have been drowned.
The person who committed the crime ended up putting all 3 children in the bathtub together.
Who does this? Who would kill kids and then not only that, but drown them in a bathtub?
That's just not something you see very often.
While the CSI team finishes inside, detectives speak with the neighbor who found Brandy.
The neighbor was a good friend of Brandy's. They would go to pick up their children together from school.
She had no idea who might have done this.
Brandy, she's good people.
When the detectives talk to other neighbors, they're just as shocked by what happened.
There was a lot of community concern. This is a small little raise your family type of community, and not that's ever supposed to happen, but you definitely don't want it happening here.
However, while the neighbors are understandably worried about a killer coming into their community, the detectives don't believe they're dealing with a random crime.
There was no forced entry into the residence, so that led them to believe that she must have known this person.
A lack of forced entry isn't the only thing that suggests Brandy knew her killer.
It was just such a brutal attack. Gunshot after gunshot and blow after blow. Law enforcement thought it was very personal.
Is that what detectives are dealing with here? Eager to find out, they turn to Brandy's family, who have started arriving at the scene as word of the murders spreads.
It was just a tough moment that day, you know, when get a phone call saying Brandy and the girls had been killed.
I know this is difficult, but I need to ask you a few questions first.
We really were trying to gather as much information. We were doing that the best we can.
It was tough. This is something that happened at your back door with your own family.
Oh, I can't believe it. I just saw them.
When was that?
Oh, yesterday, around 5 o'clock.
She was supposed to take the twins with her for a sleepover, but the twins didn't want to go.
And that was the last time you saw her?
Yeah. Well, we talked a little later on the phone around 7, but she didn't answer again after that.
Turning to Brandy's relationships, her mother says she never approved of Henry Segura, her grandson's father.
She made me aware that Henry was married.
Was Brandy okay with that?
For the most part.
She was like, it is what it is.
What about Henry's wife?
Yeah. He went back to her.
She said Henry didn't really come around much after the baby was born.
He would bring diapers over, but he couldn't really be involved.
And the twins' dad?
Mario? Yeah, he's around.
Mario would bring them birthday presents. Mario would bring them Christmas gifts. They did communicate.
But Brandy's mother said she's not a big fan of Mario either.
He was in the streets, putting the streets first.
However, that isn't the only thing Brandy's mother has against Mario.
According to Brandy's mother, Mario was a deadbeat dad.
She just took him to court.
The week of the homicide, he was ordered to pay child support.
How much did he owe?
Around $20,000, maybe a little more.
Detectives investigating the murder of Brandy Peters and her 3 children have learned a judge recently ordered her ex-boyfriend, Mario Michaels, to pay Brandy more than $20,000 in back child support.
Often individuals would prefer not to go through the state. They can resolve those disputes amicably. And it sounds like that was the only option that she felt like she had at that point.
She said, if you're not going to be a stand-up guy, then I'm going to have to go another route with your child support.
Could the judgment against Mario have anything to do with the murders?
He definitely is a person of interest.
And the detectives won't have any trouble finding him.
He was beside himself with grief. This man was hurt.
But just because Mario was showing emotion still doesn't mean he'd do it.
Questioned by the detectives, Mario insists he didn't have anything to do with the murders.
How did you hear about what happened?
He explained to me that he got word through the grapevine, so to speak, that an incident had occurred.
Well, we heard that you and Brandy weren't getting along too well.
That was just money issues.
He didn't deny that he'd have problems with Brandy over the thousands owed in child support.
I know I owe her, I just don't have it.
He provided us information about Brandy, their relationship, his relationship with his daughters.
He definitely wouldn't have hurt his own girls. He loved those twins.
Okay, so where were you last night?
With my girlfriend at a motel.
He was cooperative with police as far as giving them information.
Why don't you and I go talk?
Not only was Mario cooperative, it appears he is telling the truth.
When the detectives followed up on his alibi, the motel had a record of him being there that night. And his girlfriend said he never left the room.
Thank you so much.
With Mario apparently in the clear, detectives move on to Henry Segura, the father of Brandy's youngest child.
He agreed to come to talk with us. He was very even-keeled, very calm, very cordial, but that's not unusual. Everybody grieves differently.
And when detectives asked about his relationship with Brandy, Henry admitted it was complicated.
It started off as an affair, and it was supposed to go into something else, but for whatever reason, that never transpired. But he and Brandy were working it out.
What kind of person is she?
Spunky. She's down to earth. She's real sweet. She's a cool person.
But he says things went downhill with Brandy once his wife learned about the affair.
She caught me on the phone bill one day. Seen the phone bill, saying I was calling this number a lot.
Henry said his wife had confronted Brandy about the affair.
She just would tell her, stop messing with me and yada, yada, yada.
But Brandy was kind of like throwing gas on the fire.
She texted my wife, called her something fat, something.
According to Henry, that's when he decided to cut things off.
I said, I'm tired of you just being disrespectful to my wife. I said, I don't think me and you mess around with her.
He had to break it off with Brandy, and he got back with his wife.
But investigators wonder, was this too little, too late?
Your wife doesn't like Brandy, does she?
She didn't like her that much, no. Unless she wouldn't kill her.
But would Henry?
They asked him, when was the last time he had seen Brandy?
I was in her house Wednesday.
This past Wednesday?
That's 48 hours before the killings.
What you're doing here? What's going on?
Just seeing her Wednesday.
Okay.
Henry explains that he couldn't see his son as often as he'd liked.
It was my first time going there in a while.
But he said he was trying to do right by them.
I put myself on child support.
So she never filed the paperwork for it? You did it?
I did it myself.
Henry also has an alibi for the evening of the murder.
He said, I was at home. He told them, you can check my cell phone. Check with my wife.
Are there any other numbers?
He even agrees to give detectives a DNA sample.
He was cooperative.
And when the detectives pull his cell phone records, they confirm that he was home on the evening of the murder.
His wife also told police that she and Henry spent the evening at home.
Okay, bye-bye.
However, just as the investigation seems to be at a dead end,
Homicide, Lewis.
a friend of Brandy's contacts the detectives with a new lead.
I have some information. I'm not sure if it's connected, but I thought you should know.
She said Brandy had been in contact with a federal prison inmate named Enrique Sanchez.
Enrique has been writing letters to Brandy.
These letters that he sent, they were threatening.
A friend of Brandy Peters has told the detectives investigating her murder that the mother of three had been corresponding with a prison inmate named Enrique Sanchez.
This girl, her peoples was, locked up, and she had somebody that was looking for someone to be a pen pal with.
Mr. Sanchez sent Brandy letters from the Department of Corrections.
For the person serving time, it helps them feel like they have someone in their corner. They don't feel like they have to do that time alone.
And Brandy got something out of it too.
She's a single mom. She has 3 kids. She has a lot going on in her life. So to be able to communicate with someone and have a connection with someone that you really don't have to make time for, that might have been something that she was able to gain that connection and that stimulation from, but not devote a lot of her actual energy or time to.
But their casual relationship eventually took a serious turn.
Yeah, he actually proposed to her.
Enrique told Brandy he wasn't just any inmate.
And he said that he was a high-level member of a criminal organization out of Chicago and promised Brandy fortune just to marry him.
The friend admits that Brandy was intrigued by Enrique's offer.
But she also wondered if it was a little too good to be true.
She was really hesitant.
Brandy became suspicious of Mr. Sanchez.
According to Brandy's friend, when she declined Enrique's offer, he refused to take no for an answer.
He became a little bit obsessed, just, like talking crazy.
And 2 days before the murder, Enrique sent Brandy a menacing letter. And in the letter, he accused her of being disloyal.
Was it just a coincidence? Or did it have something to do with Brandy's death?
If Enrique was some sort of gang leader, he could have arranged a hit.
It was such a violent crime. I don't know of another crime as violent as this in Tallahassee. Thank you.
When the detectives received the autopsy results, there's no doubt they're dealing with a cold-hearted killer.
Brandy was shot 8 times.
They've also found evidence that one of the children had been shot.
We thought all 3 were drowned. We found one was shot in the head.
2 of those children were alive when they were put in that bathtub, and their 3rd sibling was used to hold them down. I don't even know what to say. It's awful.
To explore the possibility that Brandy and her children were the victims of a gang hit, the detectives set up an interview with Enrique in federal prison.
During an investigation, we have to go down every single lead.
Okay, yes, she turned down my proposal, but that doesn't mean that I killed her.
However, he does repeat the claim that he's a high-ranking member of the powerful Vice Lords gang.
Mr. Sanchez said that he was involved in various other criminal activities that were somewhat high profile, gave us quite the story.
But detectives came away from the interview suspecting it was just that, a story.
And we pretty much figured out that he wasn't fully there.
There definitely are indicators that he's suffering from a severe mental illness.
And when detectives did a little digging, they discovered he wasn't in prison for anything gang-related.
The reason why he's incarcerated was for sending threatening letters to governors.
And he was someone who kind of perpetually took credit for a lot of different crimes.
With Enrique looking like a dead end, the detectives regroup.
Hoping for a new lead, they subpoenaed Brandy's cell phone records.
When we're doing a homicide investigation, it's like casting a net for fishing, see what comes back.
The records show that on the day of the murder, Brandy had been in frequent contact with a number registered to a man named Aaron Bishop.
So we immediately had an interview with him.
Do you know a woman named Brandy Peters?
No, I never heard of her.
Figuring they've caught Aaron in a lie, the detectives confront him about the calls from his phone.
Aaron's like, what? Hold on, what phone?
When detectives explained, he said he'd given that phone to a coworker.
This coworker have a name?
Yes, Henry Segura.
Which means that shortly before her death, Brandy had been on the phone with her ex-boyfriend.
Detectives investigating the murder of Brandy Peters and her 3 children have reason to believe she'd been in contact with her ex, Henry Segura, in the hours leading up to the murders.
It started when they traced the number from Brandy's phone records to a friend of Henry's named Aaron Bishop.
They worked together doing jobs on the welding site.
We were out on the job and I messed up my phone.
He had spilt a drink on top of the phone and the phone stopped working.
Aaron says he'd given the phone to Henry.
Henry takes the phone, puts it in a bag of rice, which is a technique to dry out your phone, and he realized that it still worked.
He asked me if I wanted it back, but I'd already got a new one, so I said he could keep it.
So now Henry thought in his mind, well, oh, okay, cool. I have a second phone that doesn't have my name on it.
Remember, that's how Henry's wife initially found out about his affair with Brandy.
She caught me on the phone bill.
Had he also lied about having a second phone?
Are there any other numbers?
To be sure, the detectives subpoena the tower records for Aaron's old phone.
What they learned could be the key to solving this case.
That phone was at Brandy Peters' house the night of the murder.
Literally on top of the crime scene, right on top of it. And it had been there for hours prior to the murder.
All the detectives need to do now is prove that it was Henry doing the stalking. And the phone records may reveal a way to do it.
Brandy's number wasn't the only one that popped up in the phone records.
Whoever had the phone had also been in regular contact with a number registered to a woman named Letitia Lyle.
Hello?
They spoke to her and she confirmed she was talking to Henry Segura on that phone.
The phone came up under another name, but it was always Henry.
So, why did he use another phone?
Well, he's married.
She was another girl he was having a relationship with.
She was enamored with Henry Segura. She thought that this was a relationship that was going to go somewhere.
But Letitia says she'd recently seen another side of Henry.
He had anger problems.
She noticed how much of a temper that he had.
Like, he put his hands on you?
No, nothing like that. He was just angry all the time.
What about?
This girl, he said she was always trying to put a kid on him.
According to Letitia, he just was venting and venting and venting about Brandy and the situation about the child support. And the fact that he had to pay this money to Brandy for a child that he didn't even think was his.
Which sounds an awful lot like a motive for murder.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
After Letitia confirms that Henry had a second secret phone, the detectives bring him in for another round of questioning.
What's your other cell phone number?
I don't have no other cell phone.
Of course, the detectives know that's not true.
I know you have a second.
Once he realizes the detectives have caught him in the lie, he admits he had another phone. In the past.
That was a while ago. That was before Brandy passed away.
He used it to talk to girls he was seeing on the side.
What'd you do with it? I mean,
Throw it away.
Why'd you throw a phone away?
So I don't need it.
When detectives asked when exactly he got rid of that phone, he was just as vague.
I don't remember. I just remember getting rid of the phone. I don't want her to find the phone. Like I say, I don't see where that has anything to do with this.
The detectives, on the other hand, believe Henry's lies about the phone tie everything together.
He never told police about that second cell phone because he knew that with that information, they'd be able to see that his location was consistent with Brandy Peters' house the night of this murder.
And I know you were over at her house on Friday. Okay?
We confronted Henry about that information, and at that point, he declined to cooperate any further in the investigation.
I don't answer no more of y'all questions. I don't like the way y'all seem like you're trying to railroad me into being someone that killed a lady and her kids, which being one of my children. I don't have anything to say. Y'all still need to question me. Can I go home now?
For now, detectives have no choice but to let Henry go.
We never felt we had the wrong person. But the evidence we had in this case was very circumstantial. You had a phone, you had a timeline.
And we know he had a motive.
So, to learn more about that motive, detectives dig into the court records.
What they uncover confirms what Letitia told them.
He was ordered to pay a lot of money in child support.
In fact, he owed Brandy even more money than Mario.
Detectives investigating the murder of single mom Brandy Peters and her 3 small children have discovered that Henry Segura, the father of her youngest child, owed her a significant amount of child support.
Henry told police that he had put himself on child support.
She never filed the paperwork for it. You did it?
I did it, sir.
But what he hadn't told them was that he'd gotten significantly behind on his payments.
He's an over-the-road welder. He can have a job 1 month and not have a job for 2 more months.
However, in talking to Henry's co-workers, the detectives learned that he had a plan to deal with his money problems.
Henry had a chance to go to Afghanistan and do military contracting as a welder and get 6 figures.
However, there was one big problem in his plan.
If you have child support payments outstanding, then you cannot leave the country.
With Brandy and their son standing between him and a potential 6-figure payoff, the detectives believe Henry had made a choice.
He felt that he'd be much better off if she was dead and maybe even the kid.
And when the detectives receive the results of the forensics testing from the crime lab, they're convinced that Henry had done the unthinkable to get rid of his child support problems.
Henry Segura's DNA is on the grab bar of the bathtub.
That puts him at the scene where the children were drowned.
Finally, in September of 2011, more than a year after the murders, the authorities place Henry under arrest for murder.
When he was arrested, we attempted to speak to him again, but he didn't want to talk.
In fact, the news that Henry had been arrested for killing both Brandy and his own son leaves nearly everyone speechless.
When it came out that he was involved, it was a shock to think that he could do something like this.
The crime was so heinous that soon after Henry's arrest, prosecutors announced that they would be seeking the death penalty.
It's one of the worst cases I've ever looked at, and if you have kids, your stomach turns. And if anybody deserved death penalty, it was going to be the subject that did this.
There was no offers and no deals.
When Henry goes on trial for murder, the prosecutors maintain that his motive was simple.
Henry Segura committed these murders because he didn't want to pay child support.
It's a need to take back control. The emotional side takes over the rational side.
And according to the prosecutors, there is no doubt that it was Henry who killed Brandy and the kids.
We know from his second cell phone that he was there that night.
And then his DNA being on the bathtub of the house.
What do you want now, Henry?
The prosecutors also argued that Henry's actions that night proved the crime was premeditated.
You have your main phone at home to create an alibi, and then took your second phone with you.
Then he'd gone over to Brandy's house.
We need to talk.
Okay. Come in.
But at some point, after he'd gotten in the door, Henry pulled his gun.
Brandy went to try to either get the phone or even get, whatever weapon she may have had. And I think he started to shoot as she was going down the hall. And then she was beat to death by the gun. But she was not gonna go down without a fight, especially for those children. She fought that fight for her kids.
Once Brandy was dead, Henry went looking for his son. But he'd made a miscalculation.
I don't think the twins were supposed to be home. I think it was just supposed to be his son and Brandy at the house. And now he realizes he has to take care of all of them.
How could you do such a thing? To have taken the life of your own flesh and blood, and innocent children, and the mother of your child? He's a monster.
And you kill your son in order for you not to have to pay $20,000 in child support? 20 grand, bro?
There was no conscience there. He cared more about protecting himself and protecting his lifestyle.
When it's the defense's turn, they argue that Henry is totally innocent.
The defense in this case was always Henry didn't do it. You got the wrong person.
And when the defense put Henry on the stand, he certainly did not look like a killer.
He gets his direct from his defense attorney. It comes across clean, calm, he's cool, collected, no issues.
But the defense's strategy isn't without risk.
We knew that he definitely wasn't always respectful of women. Just looking at the evidence in his cell phone, how he talked to the women he was in relationships with.
He had anger problems.
So let's see how he reacts to being questioned by a woman.
The cross-examination by Sarah Dugan allowed the jury to see the true colors of Henry.
When he felt challenged, especially by a woman, he realized and started lashing back at her.
The switch flips, and you get to see the monster that's inside him.
The jury definitely saw it.
Henry Segura was found guilty of 4 counts of first-degree murder.
However, they stopped short of the death penalty.
Henry Segura was sentenced to life in prison.
The family can finally have closure. Justice was served. It's done. The book is closed on this one.
But no amount of prison time will ever make up for the pain Henry caused, or the lives he took.
This will always be just a sad tragedy. I could never really understand why this happened to Brandy, and let alone those children. There's no real closure for that, but you do find ways to cope. There are the memories that get you through. They were loved, they